In this video, we will talk about reason and we'll try to make sense of it. So, to start, let's figure out what is reason. By reason, we can understand uh, human capacity. Uh, let's okay, you can see now. Human capacity, let's just write now, like maybe cognitive, rational capacity. All right. Or we also use certain reason to um, explain uh, or interpret the cause. Let's say explain the cause. Not only the cause, actually, sometimes we um, I don't know if you hear the sound, but it was the sound on my mic. Okay, sometimes we use uh, the word reason. For what reason did you do that? Um, and we want just to understand or to question the causational relationship. And that's why it's not only the cause. Sometimes you actually uh, question the effect. So it can be cause and effect, right? Good. Now, is is it all, um, or is there something else to that? Oh well, sometimes you can say that. Well, we use the word reason to explain the meaning or purpose of something. And this kinda is uh it's different from the cause and effect. It's, let's say, it's of a higher, maybe even moral category. I don't know why I said higher, but yeah. But why? If you think of it, actually, maybe because what we mean by purpose is also something like the final cause. Final cause. Same goes for the meaning. Mm, all right. And why should we know it? How is it helpful? Well, first of all, so hope we figured out the definition. It's also can be put in other words. So, but we'll just used it to for the introduction of the topic, and then let's just start to drill deeper. Um, okay, so first I want to write it's cause and effect. Just to have in mind. Uh, so, um, why should we know it? We should know it for the reason why we ask this question, why? And it sounds strange and stupid, but I'll explain what I mean. See, we try to understand the reality we are in. So we're trying to figure out things because, as mentioned in previous video, we're limited, right? And because of our limitation, we ability to surpass it with thought. We try to expand ourselves, expand. But okay, let's not go into details. It's slightly different topic. So we try to understand the reality. That's why we question. That's why we try to understand the cause and effect. And why would we want to understand? See, again, I'm asking this question why. But I do it because I try to understand. And even in my language, you can see these assumptions like because I do it because of something, I do it so. And it says to us that we are deeply convinced, we assume that reality can be understood, can be acknowledged. So we can understand reality, it can be understood, right? So, so, um, and from he, and also this is the first assumption. We have the other assumptions that it has like. Hope you still can hear me good. Okay, so but there is the second assumption, and the second is related to the first one. We assume that reality has stable order. It's not random. Absolutely. It's not completely, let's say it's not completely random. Right? And it's not chaotic. That if we would know something, it could help us to act in accordance with our knowledge, to adapt. So if we would know the order, we could adapt, right? And it's also, I guess, it comes with assumption that it's not changing in like unimaginably fast speed, right? Because even if it would have some sort of an order, but if it would change with such rapid speed that we could not do anything with that, then it would deeply confuse us, right? We were not sure if it's anyhow helpful. But so we assume that we can know something and then we can do something with it, right? And that's why we question what is the reason? Now, this should bring a question. Can reality be understood only through reason? Is that how we understand? Figuring out the cause and effect? Or there are other ways to understand the reality, you know? And if they are, do we actually need these? And how much do we need it? Like, just to deal with these questions. Let's so understand the reality. Yeah, it's assumptions. I don't have space, so yes. So let's get rid of cause and effect as well. And let's put here uh words to keep in mind, reality, and understand. Okay. So, is there a way to understand reality? Other ways? Or is it only through reason that reality can be understood? But then you say, after not so much thinking, well, how about sensations? We understand reality through our senses. We thus we experience it, right? We experience it. Uh, Now, what is the difference between this, the knowledge that is provided by reason, not that is provided, the understanding through reason and understanding through senses and experience? What is the difference? Well, first, what we need to point out is that we are conscious beings, right? We have a conscious mind. I looked it up from the previous video. Now I know how to write it. Conscious. To have a conscious mind. Um, and what it means that we can not only react instinctively, instinctively, got how to write it anyway. We not only can react, but we also can reflect. Okay, we're self-conscious also. Additionally to conscious, we are also self-conscious. Okay, we can also reflect not only on ourselves, we can reflect on everything that is and that we do and that we feel and that we observe and etc. So this is important to point out when we say, okay, yes, um, we can understand and we do understand the world through our senses. Um, but we have a conscious mind and we are conscious beings. And that's what makes us not only automatically responsive to the stimuli, how in contrast with animals, but this would provide us with the um, conscious experience. In contrast, in contrast with sensational. Okay, also conscious. We can, and through conscious experience, let's erase assumptions. We can evaluate. We can interpret. We can integrate. Integrate something like to put it in a whole picture, right? Not only, oh yes, I feel it right now in the moment, it's just the feelings. But bring this experience to the broader picture by the reflection of how is it a part of the whole, right? Um, and what is also really important, and what we slightly mentioned in the other in the previous video, is identify. Identify um, consciously. Consciously. I'm tempted to write it this way. Now I know. Okay. You see, such identification, conscious identification, allows for conscious share. Okay? We can name things. Name things. We can recognize, okay? We recognize, so we identify, we recognize, and then we name it. We assign a value. It's don't take it absolutely. You can say, I'm saying we assign to value, but we also, of course, can say that we discover the value. We can also put it this way. Um, it's an arguable, uh, it would be an arguable topic, okay. But, but I mean, assign in a way how it is to us, right? Even if it has an intrinsic function and purpose and final end, I mean, how we pursue it, how we see it, and how we value it, how this is to us. So we assign value. Or we can also say this, just write also discover value. Okay. So conscious experience allows for this. And now, how all of that is related to reason, and why should we know it? Well, we already spoke about reaction. That reaction is automatic response of the body to stimuli. And you see, the problem is that this response, and it's not a problem, but the thing is that this hmm, hmm, um, we can name it will. Like we'll do something. Like we will something. Um and this is what kind of separates motion, reactive motion, reactive motion from action, right? Um, action is a willed motion. You identify something, you reflect on it, and you choose in accordance with your understanding the course you take. Um, Now, it's not necessarily completely conscious, but it requires the interpretation. And yeah. Uh Now a little bit of will. Or I'm not sure, maybe I don't want to go too far from the topic of reason. Hmm. Okay. We'll go back to that if we'll need to. Let's go back to reason. Let's go back to reason. Why do we need to know all of it? Is because, as we mentioned in the beginning, we need to understand reality. Reality? And question mark. What should I do? In previous topic, we have spoken on. I spoke on trust, and it is a question for many people. What should I do? For all of us, should I trust or not? Because, well, it seems risky in both ways. Um, and how would you know it? Right? How would you know it? So you can say, well, I can know it through experience. I can know it through experience. But we already mentioned that your experience is separated because you're a conscious being. You have sensational experience, your senses, your automatic bodily responses that you do not will. It's not a matter of your deliberate choice. Um, so sensational and conscious experience. I think about reality. I think, therefore I am, right? um, so, right. Um, and the thing is that this sensational, this is reactive. This is not this is not proactive. This is reactive on stimuli, and uh, it's it's strongly limited. It's limited by the present moment, Um, and of course, by what it is, by senses. Um, Now, there are things that are outside of your senses, and these are conscious consciousness, right? Consciousness of other people. Other people. So their consciousness is outside of your senses. It's pretty simple, and because of it, a lot of questions arise like that. If you only would base your understanding on reflecting uh, reflection of your sensational experiences, um, it would present a problem for you because, well, you know what you feel. You're not completely sure that other people think this way, the same way, unless you can recognize and identify it, and you do it through reason, as we already mentioned. Recognize and identify it. You identify and recognize that other people act similarly the way you do and react similarly in the same stimulus as you do. And so you assume things and you guess, but those are not completely blind guesses. Those are some sort of predictions because it's based on the information. It doesn't matter how limited it is. Um, and so you need reason to identify and to recognize. You eventually you needed to understand better reality. Um, to understand a conscious mind, conscious being other like you. Uh, and I'm thinking along the process, so hope some new ideas will come into my mind and we'll see better. Okay, so yes, you ask yourself a lot of questions. What should I do? But because you're a conscious being, it's not just spontaneous reactions. It's what should I deliberately choose to do? Why this action and not the other action? Um, and to answer this, you need to answer what will happen if I choose it. In other words, you question the order of reality. You question how does it work? Of course, you're not born with the knowledge of everything. You discover reality. You discover how things function and work. And so that's what you continue doing. And that's what you do, what you attempt to do when you ask this question. what will happen if I choose it? You question the order of reality, and that is the order you assume cause the effect. What will it lead to? What will my action lead to? Uh, and the thing is that, uh, which is important to mention, you never you never know 100%. You never know for sure. Um, you never know for sure. No guarantee. Um, so because of it, you kinda you again you're making guesses, and you need more information. You understand that the more information you will have, the higher the likelihood that you do what is good for you, that it will bring the consequences you want. Okay? But then you say, okay, what is the meaning that we talk about it? Do I want to say that this common sense thing that, well, if you want to know whom to trust, whom not to, uh, whom to do, should you love, should you not to, etc. It applies to lots of things and to everything. Uh, should I just try to predict the consequences? Should I do it purely on the consequences? And this is consequentialism, right? Okay, consequences. Should I do it purely on, based on consequences? Um, uh, and as we mentioned, the problem was that a lot of times, don't know, you don't know the consequences. And the more you try predict details and specifics without looking in the principle and laws of reality, the harder it is to answer, because the more complex and more complex things become. Into more specifics you look, into your personal situation, into your personal problems, considering all the context, considering all things together, the harder it becomes. And then you can say, well, not consequentialism. Maybe I should use something like Kant's uh, maxim, like universal law, something that would apply for everything. Um, but I don't want to go to there. I want to say that you naturally ask yourself, I do this. Why do I do it? It will lead to something. What would it lead to? And again, sometimes you don't know. Um, but even when you don't, you still try to operate with reason. You still go and question But what you question is slightly maybe different. Maybe it's not just an effect. Maybe it's not just an effect. Maybe it's not just the cause. Maybe you also question purpose and meaning. Okay. Um, would it be, you ask yourself, okay, yes, is it a right thing to do? Even if everything will turn badly for you, is it still good? Yes or no? I don't know if this person is trustworthy. There is 80% that he is, but this 20%, so much. At any moment, he can just change due to his life circumstances. But is it still good? Is it still right? And you again try to identify with this reason, right? Um, all right. Now, what to make of it? As we mentioned, limited. Okay, you ask these questions logically because you don't know, right? You're limited. You don't know what will happen, don't know if it's right or bad. You need to expand your limitation. In what exactly are you limited? Let's mention knowledge of reality. Reality, uh, okay, knowledge, force capacity. So you try to expand. I don't know what should I do, and you either expand with knowledge or with capacity, and that's where you also need reason. Okay. Um. So you can expand knowledge with breaking through your limitation. And you are limited strongly because you can't, uh, because you are inside of your perception. So here is your mind, you. Here is you, right? Here's your mind. Everything that is outside of it is the world. And now you have all of these questions because you're here inside, but the world is so much bigger. So, and you need to go out of it. And your senses will not do that. They will not bring you out. It is important to mention. They will not tell you. Your senses can't tell you if the person you can have an intuition, but it's based on unconscious knowledge that your brain is capable to catch without your awareness. You are more than your conscious you, but it's still some knowledge. Uh, Purely your senses and sensations can't tell you nothing about others. You can assume that others feel the same using reason. You not only observe, you reflect on what you observe. And that's how you understand the reality and know how to operate in it better than just being limited to your senses. Um, because your consciousness can extend you through that. And it can do that with reason. Let me explain a little bit more and see if I have actual time. I do. Um, why did I raise this good picture? You here, and everything is else. Okay. And now you go through your life doing some things and help on here someone else, person B. Yeah, you meet some person B. Okay. Uh you interact. You interact and you have uh you interact because someone does something. There is emotion and there is a reaction to motion. He expresses the care for you, and you bond and attach. He continues to express the care for you to be well intended, uh, to value, etc. And you kind of confirm for yourself that he's trustworthy. I can rely on. He's my friend. Okay. So you develop trust. But but now, because of something happens. You don't know. Nothing changed for you. All things are the same. But one day, one beautiful day happens, and the person B stops uh, interacting, or I don't know, providing for you. Stops. You don't know. You don't understand why. Your senses. Well, you just feel the reaction to that is the pain, a mental breakdown. Uh, but you feel rejected, right? It's your natural reaction is the social isolation. Okay, you're afraid now. Now you're scared. Okay, your maybe image is broken personally. Okay, but you ask yourself, because you're a conscious being yourself, so why? And this question, as we said, implies something something happened, and there was a cause. There was a cause. It was not spontaneous, because if it's spontaneous, it's not helpful. Like, it's meaningless to even think about it. If it's absolutely spontaneous, it's not under your control at all. So you say why? Because it happened. And well, naturally, everything happens because of something. And so you ask yourself, well, why did that happen? Um, Now you can go to your past experiences of how the world worked, causes. You notice similar causes and effects. You notice similar patterns, and it makes for you understand. It brings you understanding why, what exactly could have led to these actions. You understand it more, and what does it do when you understand reality? What does it do? It does some important thing. You can adapt. You also, so you can change something. If you can adapt, you also can influence. You also can influence. Now you're not completely powerless. You figured out something. You can adjust some other things, or you can adjust it and expect different result and not be miserable. This is very important. If you have not got that, you skip that part. You did not thought, you just felt. You just stayed where you are. You are in this point of uh, social uh, rejection, feeling of social rejection, pain that is literally as strong as physical, because the same brain region uh, is activated, that activates it when you feel physical pain. And so you are still there. You are troubled. Um, yeah, but when you have figured out things, you now can influence. Now you're not miserable because you can do something. Because one thing that brings you misery or adds up a lot to that, because misery has to do lots of with frustration. Okay, and frustration has a lot to do with feeling or you feel, you believe, you're confident of feeling of powerlessness. It's not only misery, it's kind of uh foundational fear. You feel yourself as a kid, as an abandoned kid. you can't do anything. So all your system cries out to do something or you die. So you're deeply frustrated. And what you should do is to try to understand more, to adapt and influence reality, to not feel powerless. To when you understand you can influence. This is the contrast to being powerless. Um, all right. And when you understand, it not only saves you from misery and frustration, because you feel powerless. It also saves you from bitterness. And it saves you from bitterness because bitterness comes when you feel that something is unfair. You become bitter because you fear and you're angry that nothing works out, you didn't deserve it, all people have it, you didn't get it. So, yes, and you blame. Okay, blame, blame. And you blame because you fail to understand. And of course, also because it can be appealing to you. And because it can be and is an easier choice, because now understanding is a cognitive function. You need to think to understand. It's not an instinctive and automatic reaction uh, of your body. You need to think and you need to will to understand, to make sense of it, to recognize, to identify, to name, to look deeper onto the causes of things, to break down this chain of reactions that is the order of reality, that hopefully is, because otherwise it's all chaotic and random. But we know it's not, because nothing works this way. Our experience tells us it's not. Okay. And this also can help you to build a better developed developed understanding, helps you to build better connections in the future with other people. Now you know more. Now you know what caused this person to act that way. Maybe you can uh, stop it from happening next time. You can prevent it. Or maybe you can recognize it before it happened and to take an action. But now you know why it happened, at least. And now you can have an influence. And this assurance that you can do something, this confidence that things can be understood and you can have your influence on things. Something is under control. Some things can be changed and worked with. And even if it all hurts, it happened because of that. So you don't blame, you understand. And you're also, and as you understand, you're not powerless and frustrated and bitter. You adapt or impact, you influence the reality and transform it into the image you want it to be.